Thanks for hanging with us, everybody. We are now ready for this game. And one thing worth mentioning here in our FACEIT League Season 2 EMEA Master is that because they come from the upper bracket, ENCE already start with a 1 map. That's right. They do have upper bracket advantage in this tournament, which means, of course, that for them, this series functions as more of a first to 3 in that sense. But overall, still a first to 4 and still need to win 3 maps to take it away.
So a little bit of a change up from FACEIT League Season 1 and from OWCS, just to be clear as well. But the 1 map advantage is not going to impact the map order. As you can see, we're still starting control. So the teams have drafted 6 maps so far. If we are to go to a 7, then obviously, you know, if there happens to be a draw, we could go to a map 7 as well, but that should be pretty rare as well. Get the Grand Finals underway here. Met Spacestation and Samoa is going to be the map, and it is an identical composition for both sides. No surprises. Kai is also starting.
Yeah, it's going to be Sky, though, on the Ana. So ENCE have made that particular change here, opting away from the Brig. Something we talked a little bit with Christopher about. Definitely seems like Spacestation are very Brig-pilled here. We'll see if Sky's able to make the difference with some big biotic grenades and also the disruption offered by the sleep. Won't have rally available, though, so Nano Boost, we're looking out for good value Nano Boosts to really justify this choice over the Brig. So far, trading the neutral, though. Tiny tries to step ahead of Vistola's shield to apply a bit of extra pressure. They might have a catch here, though. Catch still lingering in the periphery. They're trying to find a way in towards him, but Hardy doesn't expect this accostement from Vistola and has to give some ground himself.
The points are locked here as well, but the fight is taking place so far away from it that no one's even gone for the cap until now, where ENCE is starting to put some feet on that point. Hardy, however, takes down Vistola, so that's not even going to really happen for ENCE for the capture at all. They're down 1. They're probably going to lose the fight. It's going to go the way of SSG.
Going to be hard to win this indeed. Kai here also forced off of his sight line. Some damage came across from Sparker. And ENCE getting the Vistola kill. That's big. I think Vistola moves out into the open and just takes a face full of damage. Sparker probably the culprit there, even if Hardy was credited with the kill.
I don't see too many fights on that right side hut here, or the non-coast side of this map, especially ones where it's so heavily committed that neither team was really even going towards the point. And looking over towards Ultimate, Funny Astro is heavily outpacing Calyx here, so that is 1 point of contention. However, the DPS events.
All right, well, we have an orbital ray at least. Lanamo is going to fall to the Bob, which just really ended up in the doorway. But in general, Spacestation looked the better team so far, and we're able to use the orbital ray. And that gets them now up north of 30% of capture progress here.
Despite the criticisms I have against Nano in this matchup, it would have been really good to save the life of Vistola. I think entering and initiating the Nano is pretty questionable in terms of value, and well, not that you don't want to do it, but in that situation where SSG have all this damage output, 35% across the board from the orbital ray, the Vistola up into the Annihilation would have been important. It's 2 fights in a row now for SSG. 2 ultimates used there as well for both teams.
Back we go. Backbone pretty far forward here, but the main wall behind Vistola means he thinks he has a chance to get a pick. Still a bit scary for him now. It's going to be the Nano Boost finally going over to Vistola, combining with that Annihilation. But where are the targets? Just Hardy right now, who pops his own Annihilation and says, this rally is going to keep me healthy enough to take this fight properly. Feels like Vistola has very little help, but behind him the point was capped, and now a big biotic grenade forces landed way back, and it's a death sentence for the Brig to eat that nade. No escape once the punches start coming in.
ENCE was just too focused on trying to get the point. I mean, that's an important thing to do. You need to stop the capture. However, they just didn't have the firepower to chase with the Annihilation. Now comes Orbital Ray from Calyx. Try and clean this one up. Note that Spacestation have tried to stay in this fight despite losing. Sparker slept, but he got his kill.
Yeah, Calyx too far away from Sky to keep him healed up. Was actually playing within the Orbital Ray. And of course, doesn't have the mechanism to heal themselves. So without the Ana, you're a sitting duck. And very quickly, Spacestation get into the round once more. Already threatening a last fight.
A big stagger here as well to Kai. So threatening the last fight, it will be indeed. This is going to be it. Kai has to, what is he going to do? Jump off the map, not even going to get a chance to. Super long stagger on that one. Spacestation are also about the bend of getting Funny Astro and Backbone back into ultimate stage, and ENCE have nothing to really contest.
Hardy wants to push up again, sees Vistola isolated. Kai still returning to the fray after that big stagger. And that Sky going down first. So vulnerable in that backline sometimes is the Ana. And Spacestation come up with the goods in our first round.
The map chosen by ENCE as well, as they are the higher seeded team. A situation where Spacestation walk away with the first 2 fights despite the early cap pressure coming through from ENCE. I think it was just soloed by Kev, so they got that 1 flip in there, but beyond that, not seeing too much out of ENCE, and unfortunately the Ana not paying dividends for Sky as well, as we'll now have a bit of a swap up. Calyx over towards the Brig Sky, on towards the Juno. We had that other way around when we look over towards beach. I believe this one's going to be Volcano as well, so yeah, no change-ups here. It could be possible, though, that Kai actually rolls out on a Symmetra. This might not just be a TP Symmetra. And in previous matches, even on this meta, we would have potentially seen a Venture, but I think Backbone is past that stage now.
Yeah, maybe we're seeing it mixed in every now and then, but...
And Kai is rolling out on this, yeah.
Okay, so Kai with Sim will be a pretty deadly threat to Hardy once they start getting rolling. Of course, the Mei for Backbone just far too valuable to go away from here. So it will be an Ash difference for Spacestation. Looking to maybe take some longer sight lines here, as you can see them fold out of that close quarters area earlier.
That's a good wall.
Yeah. Hardy able to slip away though still. Kai was definitely looking threatening as he leered in the direction of Hardy. Now TP over towards the point here.
They're definitely going to lose the poke battle over time to Sparkus, so they need to be able to get aggressive quickly, and another opportunity to try and catch Hardy, but it's for Stoller that's solo for now.
Hardy opts out of the fight though, backs away, takes a bunch of damage and just doesn't feel like he's ready to go forward. Sparker also a little confined, playing from the left side of the map here. But the walls, of course, the ice walls and the Ramatra barriers make it a little bit hard for that Ash damage to be consistent. Orbit array here for Sky Reaper. Funny Astro taking down amidst it, and Backbone won't be able to hold on either.
Good positioning from ENCE. You could tell they were never wanting to play on towards the point. They were kind of on, you know, inside the generator room or the large open spaces, and they want to just be able to control those kind of hallways on the side. If you take the fights where the point is in the open, that's where Spark is going to have advantage. So ENCE really want to be able to make use of the fact they have a Symmetra and they can outbrawl them in that melee. Sky is vastly outpacing Funny Astro, as we saw from the ultimate. Funny Astro still looking for his orbital right now.
Spacestation don't really want the long fights, but they always kind of are in this kind of setup. Simtaris tickling Hardy, a mild nuisance at best for him. Here's that orbital ray, so ENCE had to work around this. The Blizzard, though, was a little bit preemptive, uncharacteristic for Kevster there to make a small error. And now Spacestation can make use of the lack of that ultimate. Sparker also has Bob available here, but this fight could take some time. Time in which ENCE can build that catch-up percentage up even further. Playing around the Sim wall, the Sim TP. Kaido so exposed in that position, will be brought down.
Yeah, that's just a huge bait there. If you actually look at the direction of the orbital ray, Funny Astro sent it towards the point itself. Where did Kevster put his Blizzard? Inside that corner, inside that side room, because he was expecting Spacestation to run into him. That's not SSG's plan at all. They wanted to push points, so ends up being a wasted Blizzard. Also, consider the fact that if you are running a Sim, TPing out of that situation is always valid. So Kevster, unfortunate. Be a huge miss as Kai now swapping over towards his own Ash to try and match Spark, and they'll be on equal ult charge here.
So the Sim play in the end didn't really work out. They couldn't make use of her ultimate because they were honestly undermanned at the time. Here come ENCE once more though. Rally up for both sides. Annihilation for both sides. The big point of difference is, of course, Backbone's Blizzard. Looks to manufacture a catch opportunity here, and behind Ramatra he tries to throw the Blizzard. Vistola can't quite get clear of it. The Backbone needs multiple headshots here, and even with the proton torpedoes of Sky, Vistola is dragged slowly down.
There's a heal over time mechanic there on the torpedo, but not going to matter if Backbone can just land that headshot and confirm the kill, especially on a low HP Vistola that doesn't have the armor to mitigate. So this is going to be Spacestation now looking to catch up and equalize on the 75, especially given that they're opting for a semi-spawn camp there just in the choke.
Okay, look at the rally out of Calyx. Lando pops his as well. How much do Spacestation want to back up? Apparently quite some distance. Looking to play around the point here. Orbital raise for both sides now. Annihilation here for Hardy. Vistola going a little bit low. This is scary. He's getting topped up though. Backbone also cops a face full of damage, and Hardy's frozen in the Blizzard, and Funny Astro was able to find Sky. Crucially, Kevster comes down, but Hardy eventually has to succumb to the Annihilation. Vistola just had no backup when his expired, and so too does he.
ENCE had the better trades there until the Bob came through. The Bob takes down Vistola. If it wasn't for that factor, ENCE would have been in a better spot. Kai was lacking by about 5% on his own Bob. That could have been a game changer. It's going to have to now be a game changer for ENCE. 93% and counting for the 99 OT, and ENCE still have potentially 2 fights ahead of them. One to actually get the flip now, and one to confirm their own OT.
Overtime secured here. Vistola eventually able to break through the wall, but doesn't want to extend too much further forward. Bob on the point here, a huge deterrent for Spacestation to fight out in the open, and Hardy actually has to give this ground up. Not entirely, mind you, not allowing for a full flip, but Hardy is very low. The Vortex will make it harder to come back in, so ENCE do get their flip Now they can start to build up to a 99 of their own, but Backbone's Blizzard looms large once more. It could be a problem for Vistola here as the Ice Wall is back and available for Backbone. Simply throws it up here to give them some time on the point. Maybe hoping for a pick there. Blizzard thrown in again pretty far forward. Vistola gets out of it though, and nobody subject to the blistering winds.
And Backbone dies for that as well because he doesn't have the Ice Block. Remember, he used Ice Block super early. 4 versus 5. Both rallies coming through. Landon might have his cancelled. He's 1 HP.
Hardy trying to push up now as well. Hypering was thrown down. Landon keeps the rally alive though. Can he keep Hardy up? He drops down for a moment at least. Sky is getting very close to another orbital ray, but Funny Astro found his first. Torpedoes there, distributes some healing. There it is. Space Station can't make use of their ray nearly as well. They're fully disengaged from this. Hardy wraps around the side though, found Kevster. Nice little pick. Kalik's also going to fall now as Hardy wants to try and double down with an annihilation, and Kai can't do a thing about it. Vistolas comes too late in the day. There's just no backup at all here for ENCE. And Space Station with that fight are looking to negate the map advantage that ENCE bring into this series. And there is nothing ENCE can do about it. Very clean play. Some very aggressive blizzards from both sides here, but it's Space Station that outlast.
That was looking like it could have been ENCE's, and maybe it even should have been ENCE's, but they just slipped away in the final fight. Remember, Mitch, they had a 5v4. Backbone oversteps. His Blizzard does absolutely nothing, completely dodged out by ENCE, and still in the 5 versus 4 with the orbital ray available, mind you. They couldn't get it done. I even saw a moment there with Funny Astro. I don't know if he was going to go for a touch on the point or something. He was about 4% early for the touch. He nearly died. I think he dropped down to pretty critical HP just flying across the point by himself. That could have been another 5 versus 4. So a few opportunities there. Big opportunities for ENCE. Slips through their fingers.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually Hardy just in a weird flank angle, just come out in Nemesis form and smashed Kevin. Immediately was able to find another kill and then pop the annihilation to turn the fight. That was even in a shorthanded situation, and the orbital ray from ENCE just wasn't really well timed enough. They couldn't, get it where they needed it. Great job there by Space Station. That is, again, the kind of map where you can't really afford to make too many mistakes. But you noticed every time there was a blizzard available for Backbone, he's looking for an opportunity to sneak that up. He's looking for a chance to catch, Vistola out and get rid of the Ramatra early. It wasn't a great start for ENCE though. If we look back to our beach map, they had that Ana comp that just seemed a little flimsy in general, and SSG really looked to take the initiative.
It's a weird situation as well because Sky and Calyx also have to swap roles, right? You have, Sky does get to play a flex support hero, of which that is what he's known for. However, it's Calyx then has to go into Juno. Perhaps they could both play Juno, but just the fact that they can't retain their roles of who the dedicated Juno player is does cause maybe some comfort issues in that sort of situation. But, we've sort of looked over the Ana situation now. Ana has certainly a decent amount of value, but we just never really saw it there on that beach map. It's here in the direct RAM mirror where Sky and Calyx go back to their normal heroes that things started out pretty good. Honestly, the Sim, in the early couple fights, they won the neutral, they got the good lead. They had that 75 rolling on ENCE's side for a very long time, and you were expecting a little bit more out of ENCE. And even this fight here in the replay with Funny Astro gets 2, guess what? Better trades coming out through from the side of ENCE. It's the Bob from Sparker though that made the difference and killed Vistola, and moments like that just preventing ENCE from confirming the fights that they thought they had won.
It's funny, we kind of talk about Bob as if it's almost the least impactful ultimate in some of these fights, just in terms of how we like to highlight others, but you have to play together to get value out of your Juno ultimate, and the Bob really forces some positioning that can be very awkward for a lot of teams. And also, even Ramatra, when he's in Nemesis form, respects the damage that the Bob can do. Hardy, I had to just pull off the point entirely when we saw that come out from Kai on occasion, so it's a very interesting ultimate. Sometimes it finds value, sometimes it really can't get too much done. It's extremely execution dependent.
Let's tell you what it did on that map, and this is what we saw in the VP series as well. Hardy goes down, but the Bob comes through, so you got 0 downtime on your tanking as far as that's concerned, and Vistola's instantly forced into blocking the entire way through, and that's not going to save him either. So not amazing start for ENCE, and a reversal what we saw yesterday in the upper bracket final where SSG went down 0-2 in the Lijiang Tower. This was a Samoa that was picked by ENCE, and you mentioned this already, but we've now equalized that map advantage for ENCE. So now we're playing a real series here. No more map advantage as we move through for the rest of the series, but we expected there to be a bit of back and forth here. And let's see if ENCE can do that on Kings Road, because they're one map up in terms of the score, but they haven't won a map actually in the series yet to kind of prove their mettle in the series, but you know, we'll see what they do here.
Yeah, and I think we're probably expecting a little bit more from ENCE on that previous map, just with how strong they've been, but they've had no easy games. I mean, okay, they had a forfeit win in the upper bracket quarters, but it was a 5-map series against Washington Hospice, a 5-map series against Space Station. So while they have made it through the upper bracket, it has been an absolute slugfest to get here. Obviously, you know, you could say the same as Space Station. They've had a lot of 5-map games here until they dropped down and were able to show Virtus Pro quite some development there outside of that Runasapi that we have erased from our memories. The rest of the series, they look very, very good. And the Ramatra play looks very, very clean.
EMEA is a funny one, man. You have, in this exact same double elim bracket, you have 4 3-2 results. One of them was a 6-mapper. You got 3 forfeits. So, you know, a little bit of both, a little bit of heads, a little bit of tails. As we hopefully, obviously we're not going to get a forfeit here, but hopefully looking for a reasonably close series between ENCE and Space Station, given how close the last one was. And, you know, it is still FT4BO7, which means, you know, we're guaranteed a reasonable amount of maps, especially now that, you know, ENCE's lead has been cancelled out.
Yeah, that's right. We are minimum going to see 3 more maps between these two. SSG, obviously, same composition. It's going to be mentioned quite a few times through this series, but no changes for them. It's a little sniper setup here. Kai eating a bit of damage there, coming back from the defenders. Plenty of poke potential with Space Station setup. It's interesting. It brawls well, also can poke.
I'm more used to seeing Kai snipe from there and maybe a jumping Baptiste from a certain team as well, but you know, not in 2024. At least not in this region.
Not exactly. Not in EMEA. Fara here for Kevster. The biggest point of difference between these compositions. Hardy, of course, not on the Diva, so you know, you do have ways to deal with this Fara. You can definitely pressure her in the sky, but you'll notice that Kevster's taking very safe sight lines and using this corner just to get extra damage and try and slant the frontline matchup in Vistola's favor.
You know what this is as well? You're just abusing the fact that Hardy is definitely going to roll on the ram. They're on the defense. They can't change their comp. You're on the attack. You have attacker's favor here. And Kevster is just going to try and make this Fara work where the Fara can work well. A little bit of a Spark. I think Spark went on a big flank maybe. Yeah, he gets punished for that. That's aggressive.
Yeah, Kalex also fell though, so both teams at least able to draw some blood here, but Kevster's impact now in a later fight maybe started to be felt a little bit more. Space Station are in an awkward spot now, a little bit pinched between the respawners and the rest of the ENCE players that are over on the point.
They're on the wrong side of the map.
Yes, they certainly are. A little stranded here. Kai also trying to keep them back with Vistola capping the point right now. Thinking at Kevster, that's all well and good. Kalex also goes down, so Space Station in a very awkward situation are trying to fight back in. But Backbone has the ice block here because Vistola just tends to be standing in his way.
Barrage?
And there's the barrage, beautifully done. Backbone gets alley-ooped into the path of the barrage. And now Hardy's in a 1 versus 2 over there. Landon tries to dive in with the rally, but it is miserable to play. Brig against the Fara. And slowly but surely, ENCE's composition just exerts its dominance.
And that is just an insane snowball from the fact that Sparkle went on this big flank through the Alderworth Hotel. SSG are like, okay, we're going to back him up. Back your boy up on that big flank. Sparkle pays it the iron price for it. And SSG end up on the complete wrong side of that. Meanwhile, ENCE is pressuring point. ENCE have the better trades. ENCE have the respawn advantage. SSG have none of that. And they're just caught in no man's land and they can't do a damn thing. And they're still even throwing ults thinking maybe we can clutch this one. Not going to happen. Barrage comes through. Kevster catches you all out.
So now we have a bit more of a pitched battle drawn in this second phase of the map. We don't expect to see any big map flips here, but more of a brawl fight ahead of us now with the Ramatra and Juno Ultimates at the ready for both teams. Some early poke here as Kai tries to keep Sparker honest. There is a Bob, of course, up for both Ashes in this fight, most likely. And here's the Blizzard first and foremost. Oh, somehow Vistola gets out of it and takes an aggressive stance instead. Concussive Blast, though? Hinders more than it helps. He can't quite reach the backline there as Kevster went to pepper them with some of that damage. And here's that orbital ray. Sky has his as well. These come at approximately the same time. Space Station trying to play inside theirs as much as they can, but again, it's a Sparker elimination to Vistola that is going to force SSG back.
I tell you not to cross the beams, and for ENCE, it gives Vistola everything he needs because his beam is moving in the right direction, and SSG can only try and back out as ENCE have still high ground advantage. They're playing through the window. Notice that when Vistola walked out of the Blizzard and moved forward, A, of course, you had the Annihilation, but also B, you had a healing angle from Sky on the high ground, plus Kevster spamming rockets. So ENCE still had plenty to play through from that situation. Unfortunately, the Blizzard from Backbone just, didn't catch.
Vistola just walked through it and decided to pop his ultimate there. Good little adaptation. Didn't have a lot of backup there, but it definitely gave a lot of space for ENCE's backline to go to work. Here's the Bob. Thrown out there, of course, and going to be blown up awfully quick. Space Station very rapidly responding to it. but Kevster's allowed to play from this really frustrating angle. Hard to see him. A lot of free splash damage, but Kai goes down, overruns. Sparker is able to find him. Spacestation come up with the answer here to break this deadlock. But the barrage always an issue. Vastola swinging. Kevster brought down as Hardy punched him out of the sky. Midway through that ultimate. The Farah here definitely for ENCE. They might be considering going away from it now as they've lost a bit of momentum and they've spent that ultimate. Kevster though persists.
Still good for this point. He will have to swap eventually, but stay on it now. I do agree with you though. This would be the right time because you're also expecting to eventually cap B. Very close to doing so. You'll notice the difference in the bobs there as well. Kai threw his one out there, decent angle, but an angle that SSG can also shoot. Unfortunately for ENCE, when Sparker throws his one in there, it's not an angle that ENCE can easily kill. Hardy
down a dynamite of all things here, just losing out of the front line. And Orbital Ray is well committed by ENCE. They know they've got a brief window here to just exacerbate this ultimate difference, and they do to perfection. Spacestation definitely on the back foot now. Sparker also additionally staggered, and ENCE have 3 minutes and 20 to play.
Backman wants to just snipe from spawn for a little bit. He'll have to swap back, obviously. He's even just getting peppered by rockets by Kevster. Obviously, the May comes through. Funny Astro, for what it's worth, did not have the orbital rate in that last fight. Calyx and Sky, obviously, the Juno player, had that advantage. And Kai was the one that managed to get all the damage done. Just lighting up the kill feed. He does so once again. More dynamite kills.
Repair packs being tossed upstairs there to make sure Kai can maintain this positioning. And this is getting a little bit out of hand for ENCE here. Hardy down, no chance to make use of the annihilation. And Funny Ashley's been holding onto that orbital ray for so long now.
I mean, Sparker's literally just hiding. He's even get conked out by Kevster, who drops in the concussive blast. The Stola's now deep inside of Spacestation territory as Payload moves towards the finish line. We're getting towards last fight immediately. Spacestation need to drop ultimates now.
Bob is oppressive here, though. He's such a problem, and just a great spot for it as well. You can't hide behind the ammo crates. Still, the orbital ray will keep Spacestation healed up such that they don't have to worry about Bob for now. And Kai was well and truly forced out of the fight. Annihilation now, Kevster has to respect it, wants to try and play her in the periphery, but Sparker loses out in the DPS hit scan duel yet again. Kai's high ground position, frustrating, and it's something that can't be matched by Sparker. We're here to try and get up on that purge to be far too exposed against the Farah, for example. Speaking of which, good barrage, Lennon, nowhere to go there again, suffering as the Brig player must against Farah. And everybody on Space Station getting knocked over. Orbital ray timing definitely favors ENCE as they're out of sync now, and they can finish the map with a whopping 147.
Kai comes back into the Grand Finals exactly where he left off on Junkertown yesterday. Still dominating, still absolutely cleaning up. I mean, that was disgusting. He completely dominated not only Spark, but the rest of SSG. You'll have to see the positioning later at the end, but how many dynamite kills do we see? How fast was ult being charged? This off angle here, disgusting stuff. Shutting down all these players, and on top of that, Vastola running with the annihilation, but it's the sniper perch up on that sort of high ground connecting towards the end. And if you actually remember what he was doing, Sparker was not even able to
He couldn't.
peek. Sparker was literally hiding for the majority of that defense because Kai had his number. Every single time Sparker wanted to peek, he was eating tons of damage.
That's kind of the attacker's advantage there. Space Station never were able to win a fight and relieve the pressure and actually establish Sparker on their defensive high ground across the way from Kai. So not only does Sparker have to hide in the corner, he's also getting Farah rockets splashing him constantly, conked out of cover, shot by Kai, and then eventually Vastola runs up and even tries to kill him. So very, very difficult there for your hit scan player to get good positioning and match the impact that Kai had over the fight.
It's all about payload momentum though, isn't it? Because if the payload was further back and map control is more in SSG's favor, guess who can dominate that spot? Sparker can take that same spot. He's also got another defensive spot, that sort of rooftop, just further forward of the ammo crates where you can also rotate through, but that's another good defending spot. So I think he could have had the defender spots, but the payload was so pushed up that was far too difficult. So now on the back foot on the defense, let's listen to SSG.
Ash. Don't know what second. Ash? Okay.
Ash, I saw Ash.
Okay, guys, are you shield? I'm gonna go the I'm punching Rum. Wait, I'm just punching Rum. I'm pushing him. Rum no form. Rum getting really angry. Rum one. Keep walking. No wall, brick on me, brick and Rum in. May split. We have insane space. May one. Rum.
I'm okay, you're fine.
Brick and Juno one, guys. Juno behind.
All
Rum. Nice, no wall.
Keep point.
Rum and man.
Keep point, kill slow.
Rum main.
Yeah, keep slow. 3 point.
Oh.
Yeah, I rally now.
Brick may get bad spawn, I think. Yep. Let's walk close, we have speed.
Yeah, you guys don't know what to do when I just...
Another basically perfect attack on point A here for Space Station. Just like we saw in that matchup against Virtus Pro. As good as ENCE have been, they got overrun awful quick.
Here it comes.
Good opening shots from Sparker. He needs to find his groove, and at least for that point in that fight, he did in fact find it. This is also a confidence game. Look at also the difference in ultimate charge between Sparker and Kai. So, attacking side now looking much better for Space Station as, to correct my mistake there on the attack, and obviously not the defense, already played the defense, and now looking over towards Funny Astro, also leading the way versus Sky. So plenty of good ultimates that will come online for Space Station soon.
ENCE here just got that annihilation online for them. Might be a concern here with Landon popping the rally. Yes, Space Station wanted to try and throw down here, and oh, buddy, Vistola. There was not much backup, I guess, from support ultimates to make that annihilation work. He thought that ENCE could find some momentum there, but again, they get demolished.
Super thrifty win as well. Brig Rally, extremely cheap. I would say that's probably the cheapest way that you could win that fight outside of not having to alter at all, which would have been a free fight indeed. And now we're looking over towards the final defense on B, and what could be a gigantic time bank for Space Station as ENCE is still struggling to find any ultimates on board. Vistola having wasted his annihilation, sadly dying almost instantaneously. Space Station just rolling on through.
That'll be a wonderful fight here for ENCE. Might go without saying here, but this is a great spot to try and slow some momentum down. But Vistola doesn't really have the ability to be a bully in the front line anymore, not without that ultimate. Here's the Bob, instant ice spot coming out there from Kevster, but he follows it up with a Blizzard. Can they find some use for this? Vistola also frozen. Backbone went for his. Both teams suffering from the cold winds, and it will be Hardy's annihilation. That point of difference after the previous fight that takes them there. This is now turning into an utter snowball.
5 minute plus, watch. It's going to be gigantic. They're going to get a gigantic time as well. The late death on a couple more members. 5:07 is what is on the clock. One of the better time banks considering. To be honest with you, they've had a lot of like 4 minute 30 plus type of time banks on there. Kings are attacked, so certainly on the attacker side, despite not getting a good defense here, Space Station. And not to be underestimated, the ultimate bank has finally been cleaned out. They empty that piggy bank. Give themselves the best opportunity to gap C.
They've hard committed to that high ground as well, as you would expect. It's up to Sparker now to do what Kai did to them in the previous round, and so far, he's having a good time of it. Sky goes down, Sparker's able to find Kevster there in the cart, by the way. 2 players on it, rolling all the while forward. And that wall doesn't quite catch Vistola. He's able to get away, but this is brutal stuff. Still over 4 minutes to go, and we're close to our last fight.
Kevster going to try and touch on towards the Tracer. And even if ENCE win this fight, it is a long road ahead to try and keep defending. Being body blocked over towards that right side entrance.
This is trouble.
Bob, not the best position. Kai got his Bob blocked out. That is awful for the Bob.
Annihilation here. Kai's trying to get past Hardy, but there's no chance, no hope here for ENCE. A north of 4 minute time bank for Space Station, and utter domination from them on the attack side.
Yeah, I mean, we thought ENCE had a pretty damn good attack. Space Station have an even better one, and it just comes down to a flawless run through. Didn't lose a single team fight, did not get reset one time. So, once again, defenses, not great for either team, but especially now that we've seen both attacks, not great for ENCE and Space Station. That is what, more than double the time bank?
It's insane.
Which means that ENCE is going to need to get some serious work done here. I'm going to say the expectation needs to now be for ENCE to cap
Finish the map.
B. If they do not cap, finishing the map on 147 is going to be a little bit.
In order to
far-fetched,
win, I feel like that has to be.
I think the
condition,
minimum
right?
viable product, the minimum viable product will be capping B. I think beyond that, obviously, if you finish the map at 147, then you've actually secured yourself a really strong situation. But if they do less than cap B, I think their chances of winning are pretty damn low.
And they're going to be in overtime when they're trying to attack B. If that's assuming, by the way, a smooth point A take. They had the Farah last time. Kevster was definitely a bit of a nuisance, and Space Station didn't have a whole lot to deal with it, so a heck of a lot falls on Sparker's shoulders here. Can he neutralize this Farah impact? Let's see what ENCE are cooking up now, as they are well behind in time.
Maybe they start Demon or something. They come, they ram. These slow.
Defend objective A. Strike from above.
Pick together first round and big machine slow. 3, 2, 1 walking.
Look at boop.
I can boop flash me, boop me out.
Very slow.
Shoot out.
Big mate, 3, 2, 1 city.
Careful.
Maven. Det er speed.
Eller middag, ja. Look above.
I'm no problem, they're gonna push til.
Me. Guys, they're gonna push mid, Yeah, fuck up.
One chilling.
I'm one top. Run.
I can push hold this side.
Yeah, I can fit it.
No.
Break behind you. Big on that. Shit big guys in the corner.
Ram is coming.
Live.
Come in.
I need full pocket here.
Man. Yeah, you're on me. I need carry.
Oh, Shiba!
Fuck, I need to see the break.
Yeah, their break's in a lot. We can punish him.
Here it is, ENCE eventually get through, right? That good conks there from Kevster, but eventually Spacestation have to group up in the hotel.
Yeah, conks from Kevster was pretty deadly. I mean, he called it every single time I saw it here. And in terms of the comms, you can see that Spark was in a really awkward position. And one of the more underrated combos is conk plus Vortex. You can just kind of boot people into the Vortex if you can line them up together as well. So that is one of the advantages of playing the Pharah. As for ENCE, that's what they need. They need a clean A point. Now they get to push through B. But this is where the slowdown is. You mentioned, Mitch, they're going to be in the OT. Can they cap B? My opinion, they need to.
Kevster wrapping around looking for a barrage, but he's low. He can't do this. He opts to go for the ultimate anyway, and Sparker takes him down. Orbital beams crossing in the middle of the map, and Landon did fall to the annihilation of Astola. Hardy is looking quite healthy, all things considered, but the bomb might change that awful quick. No Landon to work with, bear that in mind.
Is she a split?
Still in the 4v4. Kai has a lot of room here, a lot of time to put pressure down on Hardy, and Kevster's back in the fight already. Blizzard though, that's a problem. Bob also contesting for them. Kevster has to play in the corner now, and Sky keeps him top back up. Sparker loses the Bob, and there it is, Kevster, beautifully done. With Sparker and Funny Astro falling by his hand, they have a chance at B.
And because of the overtime respawns, look at SG, they're not going to get these respawns very quickly at all. They're going to have a long reset, which means we're one fight away from capping B. And that's the goal here for ENCE, the minimum goal here. Kevster dies, he takes a risk on that barrage, but guess what? You're close enough to your own spawn that he gets back in time for the cleanup. A huge split by SSG, where their team is chopped in half and not in the correct positions. Half the team stuck in the bookstore.
Rally here for Landon. That's the ultimate we're looking at right now, as it's the only one to play with. Hardy gets ahead of the rest of Space Station, but they keep up with him, and he actually finds Kellex. Hardy dives into the front line and removes the brig instantly. What a surgical extraction. Those blunt fists have been able to enact, and ENCE are stopped before taking point B.
Which means now they have the true gargantuan task, because 4 minutes is plenty to play through, and we've seen SSG comfortably take these A points. We've listened to their comms both times on King's Road today, even versus now, VP and in this game, ENCE, in both very clean A point takes that allowed them to snowball through. And with plenty of time on board, there are still opportunities for potential mistakes to happen where you can still bounce back. Plenty of room to recover if you are Space Station. ENCE, they've done a reasonable amount of work. Is it still possible? Absolutely. But I think for ENCE to now win this on the defense, their A point has to be much better than before. They need to be able to knock down that time. I still expect SSG to cap no matter what because they're so good on this attack and so good on A. But for ENCE, it can't be in a one attempt. They must draw this out into multiple different fights.
We'll see if they can trickle in as well and make these longer fights with stall work for them. Obviously, Kevster on the May now, so he was the one that was able to return to the fight for ENCE and get them through that first choke, give them a chance at least at taking point B, but it was always going to be a big ask. Eventually, Space Station were threatening to overwhelm, and they brought a rally into that fight, very importantly. We're going to try this again. Sonic here, a few shots. Nobody to be seen for ENCE. We'll be playing back here with his Ash and May composition.
Still going to start on the ground here. And high on the high ground as expected. See how SSG move across the point. Instant speed ring. Hardy into position here. A lot of early damage from Backbone as well. Look at that ult charge.
Very defensive position for Kai, though. He's not playing very far forward at all. Hardy walled off briefly inside the hotel. This is getting a proper car wash here. You pay for the premium service, folks. And it was actually Kai getting rid of Backbone here. He was given enough time to bring the May down at range. He does know that Sparker has now taken a high ground spot, but he can't see him. Space Station at least get a foothold here, but had lost their May earlier.
That's what we're talking about, right? You need these resets. You need to force SSG back. You cannot allow them to cap in one swift push. This is also now going to cost Space Station ultimates. Almost guarantee that unless you see big individual pickups come through from Spacestation, ideally through the DPSs. It's going to be costing Landon, though. He's going to get the first rally. Not before Vistola finds Annihilation.
Nice wall.
There is tools on both stages.
Kai can't really shoot anything. You can't see. He actually has to take the more aggressive position now because of that May wall, and Sky, no one is coming to the rescue. Space Station eventually find their edge and they break in. And Vistola had made use of that Annihilation.
Help!
Built it quickly. Landon went down. There is something to be had here. But Space Station are taking it slow. Bit by bit, they bring Kai down. Kevster can only look on from the high ground there as Vistola will be bundled off the point entirely, and Space Station know they need a bit more. They're going to surge into the choke. Hardy looks pretty intimidating playing through this choke.
It's retakeable.
And there's a Bob available.
They're going to do it.
They're going to run into this Bob down to the back line. It's going to be Vistola coming forward, but he's far too low. Spark able to finish him off, and Sky just fell incidentally to the Bob. That's ENCE giving up A.
As I said, it is retakeable, but it does cost you, and unfortunately, it's going to cost ENCE now a little bit more time in the respawns. They'll get a couple of ultimates out there, so that's the good news. They retake, didn't really spend anything. Would have been disastrous if they had lost that. Popping in double support ultimates, but the good news is they held on, which costs Space Station. Ruins the Sparker Bob situation as well. Kai's going to have that Bob now available. He's been struggling now on this defense. Kai, he started King's Row so dominant versus Sparker, and Sparker, instead, has had his number.
Here come ENCE. No, they can't afford to give too much ground here. Need to play around their orbital array, and the fact that they have that rally advantage in this fight could all still be scuppered, though, by a well-placed Blizzard from Backbone. So ENCE actually gives some ground. And maybe an issue for them, though. They threw that one up to disengage with. Sparker now looks to wrap around. Threatening position, but Kai is absolutely ready for it. Rally going to get popped by Kellex now, and Sky wants to try and push up here. Space Station bundled out of this phase of the map, but will quickly look to snap back. Vistola steps up. Gets himself that mini health back, but Hardy actually just keeps chasing him. This is not what Vistola expected at all. Space Station overrun him. And ENCE see the Ramatra split off, looking for the tantalizing treat of a mini health pack. And they use the Bob really for very little value.
Yeah, no tank now. Sparker, though, down to Kevster. That's opportunity. Maybe they can still get it done. Good ultimate. Sky as well.
Backbone's caught. I don't think he's going to get away from this one. Landon gets brought down now as well with 44 seconds left. Space Station have run out of gas on this fight. They come back in with an orbital ray advantage, but that's it. One more chance.
Wow, I mean, that's miracle working there. They probably should have lost that fight there. That was player advantage. Vistola still coming back from spawn, and Kevster finds the shot that starts the momentum for ENCE to be able to win that fight. It was looking so disastrous. Vistola, shades of yesterday's games, just rushing in deep, getting lost, and separating himself from the team. We'll get a second opportunity now. He has Annihilation. There's Blizzard as well. The Funny Astra orbital ray exists, but guess what? Kevster can find that miracle Blizzard if he pops it down the right place.
Maywall there gave Space Station the ability to shrug off the poke and move up. Funny Astro, those burning. He's low on the backline. He needs that healing from Landon. Both supports are struggling. They've got to go for an early orbital ray, but they can still move up. ENCE happy to allow that to happen. Happy to see the Juno ultimate come out, and it's going to be Backbone going for a Blizzard. Kevster has to ice block. Hardy's going to get caught out by Kevster's Blizzard himself, but shrugs it off easily, and now we're back into the fight again. Sparker can't see much. Annihilation in his face. Still gets Sky with the Bob, though, and that's no Juno here for ENCE to play with. Kellex, though, is still standing, and they overrun Hardy. Sparker now needs to come forward to make something happen here. There's going to be a brig in the way, and it's one. Kellex is one. The dynamite is enough to get him off the car, but there are still ENCE players here. The cart, though, kind of needs to get there. It's sailing away from him and off into the sunset. The Space Station narrowly steal away King's Row.
And that was all Sparker. He got the boop on the Bob. The coach gun ruined the trajectory of the Bob, and the Bob couldn't touch the payload. If the Bob did the payload touch, that would have been a different story. We're literally talking about a single ability, a single moment from Sparker that ruins Kai's masterclass of a potential save and recovery on the map. I mean, we came down to the wire. But this is also a situation where, you remember what I said, Mitch, capping B was the minimum viable product for ENCE. They didn't cap B, they did push it far. Far is not enough because SGC still got the better of them at the end of the day. They just managed to cap, and unfortunately for ENCE, they couldn't get further distance. But man, that last fight was so tantalizingly close still.
Again, it was just a 4-minute 4:06 time bank for Space Station on that attack side. That is immense by comparison. ENCE, we saw them shift to a bit more of a defensive stance and try and drag the game out, and it worked really well. This was that attack side, of course, and this is where Kai has a pretty disgusting moment. Both teams, of course, end up finishing the map and take us to extra innings here. But combining, of course, with that Vistola push up here. Hardy being a troll. This was the attack side for SSG. I mean, they really get snowballed in this last phase of the map. He just stands in spawn, eats them all up, and gives a massive time bank to SSG. For them to have lost this match, it would have been pretty wild, and it's crazy to think of how close that was to happening.
I know, and you know, credit to where credit is due. ENCE really made SSG work for it, but you just, when you have double the distance like that, SSG can afford to lose a couple more fights. There's a couple of like really weird moments there as well, unfortunately, where SSG kind of just were forced to pop the orbital ray super early in that last fight, caused things to be way closer than expected. Sparker finding the Bob right in time, his own that is, and then, you know, eventually Kai is just able to squeeze in the Bob, but unfortunately no touch there. This was a, you know, trying to remember if this is the right moment, but there was a moment on one of the SSG defenses where they also got super split, and that really cost them that bookshop corner, so that was really unfortunate.
Yeah, and it was obviously an occasion where, like, we see we're on war with Vistola, he goes and picks up a mini health pack, and all of a sudden Hardy's just right in front of him.
This is the last fight.
Yeah, let's see how this goes down. They have to use this orbital ray so early because their backline got owned by Dynamite from Kai. So that's the orbital
Larka's gonna have first Bob. So the main Blizzards will reset the fight entirely, so neither team gets any value. First Bob comes through, and just watch Kai's ult charge here. He's trying to hold up. Vasola's doing a great job of just staying alive for as long as he can because Annihilation makes him pretty damn tanky. It's 3 kills. Calyx, honestly, 2. The whip shot is huge.
Well.
Now, Kai is on 99. Bob is going to come through. Brilliant Dynamite. And the Bob gets pushed away by the Coach Gun. Perfect. That is the play. That is literally the play that allows Sparker and the SSG to cap. Because otherwise, Bob can test.
Did the Bob hit the ice wall first? And sort of got stopped in his tracks almost. I think there obviously was a Coach Gun there, but it looked like he was already deployed and actually attacking after they came out. Either way, the fact that Bob is not able to touch and contest it all is the backbreaker because Kai can't get to the card either way.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, it literally came down to inches there. I mean, we're talking about a photo finish either way, so a super exciting map. And the fact that ENCE even brought it to contention of maybe being a win is phenomenal. But the real problem was they allowed the gigantic, was it 4 or 5 time bank in the first place? That was just a little bit too far gone in terms of trying to recover that situation. They really needed to be able to have a much better defense as we go into Colosseo, which is something we don't see very often nowadays because it's all Runasapi all day, but not this time.
Yeah, ENCE banned Runasapi. Fair enough, they struggled against SSG last time around. Again, this is, look, the kind of push map that definitely favors defenders once that card starts to move up, right? That high ground advantage is really something that it's very palpable. You can really see the effects of it for defenders. So it's a little bit hard, means we have a lot more fighting that occurs in neutral territory and also really limits the risk of, you know, a snowball or a runaway for either team. A full clear on this map is even crazier than one on Runasapi for sure.
Oh yeah, this is by far the most difficult of the push maps to be able to actually make a full finish on. To answer your question, by the way, I did check back. The Bob did hit the ice wall first, but that's fine because the Bob can contest the payload from there. Again, the issue ended up being Spark and it just pushes away, so nice play there as we move on to this map now. Same old, no changes.
Yeah, wouldn't expect to see either of these teams best with the formula. Sparker actually in a matchup against Kevster here on the right-hand side, whilst Kai opts to play the longer sideline and look to pressure front lines instead. And those May walls do matter here, even without the glass in between the columns anymore. You're going to catch a pick, of course, on an NA or Matra is big. Bit early push here for Spacestation now, allowing Sparker to nestle in, again, one of these little alcoves. Kai, again, who doesn't really want to play outside the map here, throws Dynamite into the mix, and Landon just inexplicably plucked out of the mix.
Hardy to follow, perhaps. Look at his HP super low. Walled off. That's opportunity. Surely you get this kill.
Nice from Funny.
Speed ring directly onto him. Yeah, he's gone. By the way, you saw Vistola on very critical health a couple of times in that fight, but because he stays alive, transfers all of that healing to Sky, who is now miles ahead of Funny Astro.
Yeah, I mean, already an orbital ray here. That's pretty big if ENCE want to try and transition actually into controlling his high ground or having a good fight here. I mean, a second one fight, especially if it's drawn out, could mean a first checkpoint, which on this map is really massive. Again, the aforementioned high ground for defenders reason. But Astro, though, has some time to build his up, so that window for Sky is rapidly closing to have an advantage in this fight. And ENCE want to drag this out, hopefully try and find some incremental advantages on the low ground.
You can see they're trying to bait Space Station into the low ground. This is why ENCE fall all the way back. They're not going to try and push their luck on the actual payload itself. Kevster goes first, but he dies for it.
Too early. takes the damage far earlier than he thinks he will. Hardy was
don't trade.
frozen, but doesn't care. Orbital Ray did come out in the end for Space Station. They end up using theirs. They're the only one that do. That one fell flat for ENCE.
Yeah, I think Kevster thought he had something there. Well, he does get the freeze, but doesn't live to tell the tale of it. Vistola's super late death. This is going to give now Space Station the opportunity to get the flip. Early days, though. Flip at this rate is not going to do too much, but tell you what, economy is looking better for ENCE. So they accept their loss. They say, all right, we lose this one. We've tried the Blizzard play. Didn't work out. SSG then throwing the double. Bob's gone.
What?
Ooh, the catch on a Kevster is really gross. That is now going to push SSG further in the lead. And you know what else? They're actually rushing towards spawn. So you want to talk about high ground control, Mitch. They're going to get that. This is a really good push now for SSG.
They've nullified that defender's advantage in this part of the map, and they've virtually won 2 back-to-back fights, which is the formula here for this first checkpoint. And still able to move up, though. The bot has made extreme progress. Kevster's moved over to the Tracer here. No more Mayfi here, maybe frustrated about how that last play went. But is that going to be enough here to really threaten Landon, who just pops Rally on the low ground and says it's going to take more than just the Tracer to bring me down? Landon wins the 1 versus 1. Now Space Station with a player advantage and Annihilation in effect. Want to move up on this high ground. Forces the rally out of Kellex that now expires, but Vistola has an Annihilation to spend as well. He goes for it here, but he's isolated. Not enough healing for him, apparently. Landon seems like a small price to pay to bring the Ramattra down, but Kester's made a switch. The Farah comes in, and Funny Astro is down instantly with Kai's headshot onto Sparker, giving yet another pick for ENCE, rather.
A rare moment to see Kevster and Trace and to think, oh, that's not the right pick for him. You know, that is certainly something I didn't think I would even consider here, but he's going to go towards the fire to more or less abuse the fact that Hardy is on the ramp. Let's see if Hardy swaps. Not going to happen. We'll just rely on Sparker for the long-range damage and some missiles from Funny Astro to Pepper as well. For 66 meters, no cap though. That is a silver lining for ENCE. They did not allow the cap to come on through, which is still important.
Just shy of that cap. Nicely done for ENCE. That's playing a razor-thin margin when you're on the back foot like that. All right, let's take stock of things. Again, Funny Astro and Sky are going to be out of sync ultimate-wise for a little bit, as Astro got his off first despite building it later. So that's something to keep an eye on, of course. Bob now being developed by Sparker and Backbone. So Space Station do have a considerable ultimate advantage to leverage in this next fight, and straight away. That's a very early Blizzard here, and then Corpus Solar easily picked off now. So once more, Space Station going to be posturing towards that checkpoint.
ENCE just can't get any sort of distance here, and this is critical because if you allow ENCE to, or rather SSG to be able to get this cap and further distance, the game is going to very quickly get away from them. We're fast approaching the halfway mark of this map now, and so far 66 to 32 is fine. Here comes the cap now. It's going to be uncontested as ENCE is still regrouping. Here it is. I think this is a very important fight. I don't know if I want to say must win, but it's extremely important.
The Conk is unable to knock Hardy down to the low ground, and Bob popped Kellex up for a brief moment here. The barrage for a very safe angle for Kevster. Just gets rid of Bob and nothing more, but any other use of that ultimate probably is too dangerous for them here. Icebox, that is going to be very far forward for Backbone, but he's going to pop out inside the orbital ray, which is handy. Still just blown to smithereens by Kevster, though. But he has to give up his life for it. Now in the 4 versus 4, Pistola looks to move towards that low ground, rallies out for both Breeks, and Hardy's going to have that first Annihilation up here. Bot's starting to move back the other way. Hardy takes a brief pit stop and avoids getting knocked off the map by a
he's
shot.
ulting.
Continue fighting, and he just throws this ult in. Funny Astro is desperately trying to get an angle on him here. It's quite tight, and Hardy doesn't have a lot else to work with his Annihilation, so he'll be packing that one away.
Yeah, I don't know about that ultimate. That didn't seem like it was high value at all. Now Kai's going to do the clean up onto Sparker as they retreat, and it seemed like SSG just should have reset. They lost control of the payload. They have no positioning. They're waiting for respawns, and their respawns are so much further away, so the one-to-one trade in terms of players is going to favor ENCE in that situation. Why give away an extra ultimate like that? You already lost plenty of ultimates. Landon popped in an extra rally in there as well.
Kai, approach comes back outside of the Blizzard. Landed under threat here, but Vistola is low. Again, another aggressive Ramattra ultimate that blows up in Vistola's face. Importantly, Space Station, amidst the maelstrom of that previous fight, did take that first checkpoint and some. They have a healthy lead now, with ENCE again faltering as they try and bring it back.
I mean, ENCE can't allow this to go triple digits. If it goes triple digits, it's going to be extremely difficult, especially on Colosseum. We talk about this map being hard to cap out. It's hard to push, but it's hard to come back for the same reasons of pushing uphill and all of that. Kevster will take down Landon. It's going to force the reset, you would assume, assuming Space Station don't just stick around way too long. Might be in a barrage. Ooh, nice, tasty.
It's a good one. And that's a nice angle to take there. Hardy eventually is able to drag Kevster down to the 7th circle with him, but not before. Backbone was also removed. So again, ENCE have an edge, a window here. And they're looking to move forward. Our orbital rays are now going to be in sync once more.
Still waiting for Kai, or rather Kevster, to get back into play, but should be pretty quick. Fire plenty of mobility. Yeah, you mentioned the ultimates here, but Landon also leads Calyx by somewhat as well. So once we really get into the melee of things where orbital rays come down, that will be the difference maker.
Great spot to put that Bob on the other side of the wall. Kind of forces ENCE past the wall, which is the last place they want to be, up against the front line of Space Station. But there it is, though, another crucial kill for Kevster. But losing the front line, it definitely puts ENCE on less even footing. And Calyx, of course, follows soon after. Now Space Station can regroup. Tough to make big progress off this fight because it's staggered, but their bot is already sailing away. Again, they're going to be in enemy territory.
Well, the good and bad thing there was Kevster went on a big flank, which catches Sparker off guard. Sparker had no idea, he just gets completely wiped out by the rockets. But that also means Kevster's not part of the actual, team fight that occurs far, far away from the high ground that Kevster and Sparker were dueling at. It just means ENCE were down a player effectively. SSG cleaned up that fight. Now it's ENCE's situation again where they need to make sure that no further distance comes on through if they want to recover the situation.
Pistol's not doing anything there. He's not stalling the bot. He's also not winning against Hardy. Hardy just looks unkillable right now, and it's annihilation instantly. He's looking for Sky Reaper. Wants to pressure him down. Sky able to get clear for most of this annihilation, but the last couple of ticks find him. Calyx frozen up inside a vortex now. Hardy will be able to clean him up. The Backbone died to deploy that Blizzard. Makes it a 4 versus 4. And Hardy says, we've probably done enough here for now. Let's try and regroup without getting drawn out too long.
As soon as they lose one member, they actually can't win that anymore. I mean, they can win the fight technically. It's possible they win with 4 players remaining, but they can't push because their respawns are not favorable. So at best, they would have hit triple digits, which is still bad news for ENCE, but the 1 kill to Backbone is what's going to allow ENCE now to push back on through. However, as mentioned, ultimates had to be popped. Calyx had no choice. The rally was required. Baited out the Blizzard, though, so you at least take the 1-for-1 ult trade. As we look over towards Orbital Ray again, this time Sky's got to lead Funny Astro, which is important. Funny Astro healing Hardy back up is going to catch up, maybe. Still lagging.
We're inside of the 90-second warning, though. Getting close to 1 minute left in this round, and ENCE have a lot of ground still to make up. The Kevster rockets have been good. We definitely need to see more of those. Getting close to a barrage, so there's Cloudy with a chance of a rocket rain.
Doesn't want to flank twice in a row.
That conk separates Backbone, but I don't know if he's close enough to really be followed up on. Yeah, Pistola pulls away from that one, says no. That's too risky. Great barrage from Kevster, from a safe spot as well. Backbone eventually brought down after being isolated by the concussive blast in the first place, but Sparker don't miss. Sharp shot there to bring Kevster down. Still a player parity here, but ENCE need to keep going. They can't back away. They don't have the time to just try and bait Space Station down to the low ground.
You're about to hit final fight here as well. 30 seconds remaining. They have to wait for a respawn. Kevster knows he has to get back in the fight instantly, so no more Farah. Has to be the Tracer. Get back there as fast as you can, but the issue is SSG hold the ultimates. They hold the map in their hands. They're about to hit match point if they can just pilot this one correctly.
There's Bob from Kai. Vistola doesn't have annihilation. This is very scary. Space Station, a massive ultimate advantage to just straight up force them away from the bot. ENCE can come back in once some of these abilities have expired, but it's going to be in the dying seconds of the round. Hardy just stands there with annihilation as well. ENCE have no choice but to weather the storm.
If they don't push, they could have forced a C9 there, so maybe pushing actually allows ENCE to get an easier touch. ENCE were in a very difficult spot to get that touch, so the touch is in fact there, but still, ultimates on board. 3 ultimates, Blizzard on line as well.
ENCE need time. They need time to drag this fight out, but Spark is not giving them any. Oppressive high ground position, already a kill on Sky, and Bob gets the job done for Kai himself. ENCE down to 2 players now. Blizzard thrown out for Stola, desperately going for an annihilation, but this one, folks, is over. Space Station, above and beyond the better team, despite moments from ENCE, especially Kevster, will take away Colosseo.
And don't let the scoreboard fool you guys, because the one that ENCE have, again, that's from the upper bracket advantage. They didn't actually win that map, so
no maps.
Look at this in the context of how this tournament has gone. This would naturally be a 3-0. This is actually now, accurately a 3-0 for SSG, but we are in a BO7, which requires SSG to win 1 more, which means they're at match point, and ENCE actually haven't taken a single map yet in the series. That is very, very, very scary.
Yeah, we felt pretty confident about SSG coming into this game, especially knowing that ENCE definitely had their own fair share of hiccups in that upper bracket. But once we got into the game, we've started to see a really big difference open up between these two. Kevster preferring not to play Mei here. Opting, after the first part of the round over to the Farah here. It's tough to play into an Ashe like Sparker, who's firing on all cylinders.
I don't think they have a really comfortable mirror matchup versus SSG, who have far more practice on this style of composition. I won't say the actual comp because all these teams have an equal amount of time to practice as Juno. But it comes down to the fact that SSG are just the more seasoned veteran brawl team. And when you get into any sort of GOATS side of composition, SSG are kind of favored. So I kind of see it from ENCE side. It's like, can they really win if it's a pure mirror? I mean, in some of the situations where they've been better than SSG, it's come down to the Diva matchup. Hardy's not going to be good on that. Vistola is going to be good on that. Kevsters can play Afara here. You can maybe try and abuse the fact that, there is a ground-based comp. However, Spark is playing a really phenomenal game. He's currently my front runner personally for player of the match, or also the cool coach gun play, but just generally, he's keeping Kevster down and not allowing this Farah to work. He's keeping up and overtaking Kai in the moments that matter as well. And now backs against the wall. ENCE need to figure something out quick time because this Ram mirror just doesn't look good for them anymore.
I mean, I heard at the start of King's Row, there was a discussion. I think Vistola brought it. It was like, should I play Diva into this? Now, there's definitely like an inclination to try it. We haven't seen it here, but, there's no way that Vistola's going to be able to drag Hardy into a Diva mirror. This guy's playing Ramatra. He is just going to hold M1 and spray down for the lads.
It is a map-dependent thing as well, and
it's New Junk City.
There's a Dorado coming up, but that's two maps. That's a map away. You have to play New Junk City first, which is, I'll say it, it's a Ram map. Unfortunately, this is not the one where you test the Diva out. Definitely not in the first point. You go straight into the arena, full Ram gameplay. You don't even want to try and do anything but Ram there. You're not going to even have a good Diva situation until you get to, a couple of the more open points there. So yeah, it's a tough road ahead. If you do want to play the Diva, you're going to have to find the right spots, and this might not be the right one.
The only map that ENCE have to their name is because of that upper bracket advantage. So far, SSG have emerged from lowers with a vengeance. Can SSG close things out on New Junk City, a map that suits their Ramatra style, or can ENCE hang on for Dorado, a Hail Mary to give them a bit more of a Diva map? One way to find out would be to stick around after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Midway through this first of 4 series, our grand final of our FACEIT League Season 2 of EMEA Masters. So far, it's been all Space Station gaming all the time. ENCE have struggled to find an edge over these last few maps here. Most recently, obviously, losing out on Colosseo, a map they chose. Now they choose to bring in Maimone at DPS.
What that says to me is the potential for some Venture. Now, Venture is going to be quite good in that opening arena point in the middle, but beyond that, I think the utility is going to fall off a little bit. It's very point dependent where Venture is going to be strong, and you obviously have some more longer sight line type of points in there. You think about the sort of junkyard bomb flights, especially type of situations. Bomb flights is going to be huge for the side of SSG with Sparker just sniping from long range on the Ash. So have to be very cognizant of the fact that it's a very situational pick. That is if Maimone / Kevster do go towards that double flex DPS, look over on the Venture, and if that doesn't work out for them, obviously they lose. But, coming into this, Mitch, before we went to break, I said, look, something is going to have to change here for the side of ENCE, and this is that change.
Is it going to be enough? Can they play this all-in Ramatra Brawl style with the Genji and the Venture? It's very brawly, but again, when a fight gets dragged out, it definitely feels a little weaker once those cooldowns from the DPS are expended. The consistency of Ashe, of Mei, can really start to take over. ENCE want to get in, get the job done, and get out. Now switching it to Mei, so at least that means that Maimone can pop in and out of those fights here. ENCE definitely need to come out strong here.
There it is. Venture on board for Maimone. Very strong on the opening arena. Starts to then fall off later on. So what does this mean? ENCE need to guarantee that this is an opening fight win, and arena needs to go their way. If they don't start New Junk City with 1 point in their favor from this point, it's going to be tough.
They didn't know Maimone was there. Comes into the backline, emerges. Tries to get back to the rest of his team, but good damage here. ENCE has taken a fair bit of poke themselves, but Sparker really needs a bit of help. Hardy wants to push up, though. Looks like they're unperturbed mostly by this Venture foray. It's going to be happening over and over again, though. They're going to need to find a way to get advantages elsewhere. Good dynamite to the backline. Sky burning down. Vistola also low, and Space Station have been able to stave off these early pushes from ENCE into a comfortable fight win.
Honestly, the set play from ENCE to begin with was really good. You had Maimone on the flank, humongous unburrow situation where Space Station kind of get popped up. Most members were impacted by the unburrow, but that wasn't enough. And when it really comes down to it, the burning damage from Sparker, Hardy getting amongst the thick of it. Look at their ult charge. Hardy in particular is just sky high ahead of everyone else. Maimone at least got a lot of damage done. But is that going to be enough? You're not going to get that same rollout again.
They do get a wall on Hardy. Jeez, it's just so durable, though. They can't really put a scratch on him. Maimone now under some threat here, but Kevster was able to eke an advantage elsewhere against Backbone. Hardy, though, yeah, not going to have a chance to get much of this annihilation. Gets actually back in range with the help of the Vortex, but he's so split for the rest of his team. This one might just be a wash.
Double support ultimates. This costs you a pretty penny, but you do bait out 2 on the other side. Funny Usher says thank you. Not too sure what for, but ENCE is still in this one, and they need it. It's not quite final fight territory for SSG either, so there is still another opportunity if ENCE do lose a fight and SSG get the recap here. It's not 100% over. ENCE have a lot of ultimates, and they have a long way to go through to actually win this point. And I'll emphasize again, Mitch, I think they really do need to win Arena based on their comp.
They might have a catch here. Kester looking like he'd isolated a player. It was actually just Hardy, so he's not stuck in there with you. You're stuck in there with him. Trying to work up the stairs here. Definitely positional disadvantage for Space Station now. That looks to be exacerbated further. Perfect from Kevster. The sequencing was unbelievable, but
The Ray, though.
Orbital Ray. Hard to see, obviously, in that low ground, but Hardy just gets topped up. He is, oh man, he is completely unbothered by that. Still, an annihilation from Vistola is very threatening, but it's only going to enable them to extract one of these Space Station
Oh, they're going to
players.
stagger. They're going to stagger. Yeah, that's going to ruin the retake. So there's not going to be a retake here. That is just going to guarantee, basically, that they cannot now contest. I said earlier that, what was it, 70-something%? It's not quite final fight situation, but unless ENCE are interested in a 4v5,
There's no way.
no, there's not even going to be touches there, no.
I mean, Calyx, the only advantage there is that he's able to get 50% and build up a rally. But that's because he's hitting 3 people constantly, and they're not killing him. So that helps, but it's a very small consolation to take out of that extreme stagger and lost first flashpoint.
Yeah, ENCE looked like they had a good situation there. They found an opportunity to play through the Blizzard, but you know what? The Orbital Ray healing, 100 HP per second, it is a lot. And then on top of that, Backbone gets to swing in with his own Blizzard, which prevents ENCE from really being able to capitalize at all. So they lost the point they were favored on, and now we're moving over towards points they're not. Sparker, long range damage. This is one of those open points I talked about, Mitch. This could easily be a 2-0 now.
I'm going to waste no time. Get into the point of contact here. High ground is where ENCE look to try and set up, but Mimone is going elsewhere. Tectonic Shock at the ready here for this venture player. Mimone hasn't been able to make the difference so far, and can't just pops this ability in neutral territory. Able to use a couple of those charges on Hardy, but me just really shrugs them off. Hard to see where Mimone's getting big value right now for ENCE. Unburrowing out towards the back line, they spotted Landon. He's low. Pressure now coming down, and Space Station aren't able to trade that out anywhere else.
Tell you what, Tectonic Shock, for all it did, it was able to push away the Space Station backline, made them respect it. Obviously, it does more damage the further away your opponents are, which is why, hilariously, it did nothing to Hardy at close range. Still not a clean fight win for what it's worth for ENCE. They should be able to win this one. Maybe a late death from the Sparker. They would really like that, but it doesn't look like they're going to get the chase in. 60% though. SSG still have a huge advantage. It's very similar to what we saw in Arena in terms of how fast they start and how far their lead is.
They really hung around as well, getting a little bit of extra percentage in that last fight. Big Orbital Ray differential here. And Bob and Blizzard at the ready for Space Station.
4 ultimates, actually.
No reason not to win this fight comfortably. Maybe they can ration them somewhat. Little poke here off the torpedoes. Vistola feeling a bit frosty, apparently. Never had a chance to get to that annihilation. That's a problem. Now it'll be very easy just to flip this point back. ENCE in utter disarray. They may have been able to equalize, but they are drastically behind in the tempo race, and some late kills also make that even worse.
They can't get staggered again. No way. If they get staggered again, then get ready for a reverse sweep of all reverse sweeps. It's not even just going to be a reverse sweep on this map. You're effectively in a reverse sweep for the series as well, Mitch, because you know, you got that one map as a bonus, but you have to win every other map from here on out. 90%, they'll get the touch. They have some ultimates to play through. The Space Station are essentially still on 4.
Yeah, there's a better. That's for sure. Vistola has to back up a little bit. Looks like a touch was there, at least with the Unburrow. Annihilation now finally has a chance to be used, but Lennon has the rally. That will cover much of this damage here. Sparker with a safe angle, but can't quite find a kill. Nice little double stun there from Landon. The shield bash claims Kevster and Vistola. Kevster never had a chance to use his Blizzard. He got cut out of the fight before it. And that is another walloping for Space Station as ENCE are reeling even more.
And the problem is you still have bomb flats to go through. Minimum now, ENCE have to play through the last 3 rounds, which includes that. That's another super open point, and you know, we're not going to go there just yet. Next is going to be Ducks, which is still has a plenty of high ground advantage to play through. I'll tell you what, it was always going to be a gamble to put my own in, to play the Venture, because, you know, you look at the best double flex DPS team in the world in terms of Falcons, Proper and Stalker are not even playing this Venture main comp anymore. They're now even hard playing Ashe and May together, so ENCE are taking a big gamble on this.
Pistola goes deep here. Hardy doesn't seem to mind him for the time being. Mamon's Tectonic Shock again mostly ignored as it was a Sky Reaper falling down to some dynamite. Spacestation can do no wrong right now, folks. They are absolutely unflappable.
Maimon needs to go to, I don't know if he's got an Ashe within him. It's not going to be enough. Because you need Kai in this lobby. Maybe a Tracer. Maybe just stick through the Venture, I guess. You've already committed yourselves to this. See it through to the end. The Spark is POV here. Just flawless. You can't even get onto the back line. You don't have the ability to take him down. You don't have the flanking power. Maimon doesn't want to all in on a single player. Unless he's going to be able to get away scot-free with it, which is just not going to happen. And once again, SG, they cap early. They have the ultimate advantage. This is looking like it could be mad.
What is that? Sky can't afford to be lost in such an early part of the fight. Backbone, happy to ice block here. Done his fair share of attention garnering, that's for sure. Pistola backs up here, and Hardy almost got out of the Blizzard Care of the whip shot, but will be sandwiched between two walls in Annihilation. He drops to the low ground now, and that's a chance for him to be healed back up. Orbital Ray for Funny Astro, probably not to be used this fight. With a short-handed Space Station, they're going to posture aggressively and try and buy some time, but Spark has been able to find the dynamite to the backside. Kevster falls as he tries to touch the point. This could be it, folks. ENCE are run ragged. They're out of ideas. Just trudging back into the fray, and they won't even have a chance to touch this point again. As Space Station Gaming sweep them aside and take the series. The champions of the FACEIT Master League of Season 2.
So clean, guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
Aura, baby.
Easy.
Music
too.
Yes, dude.
Really so cool.
Hey guys, congratulations. This is Jake in your comms. Just kidding, it's not Jake, it's Avril. How you guys doing? You did it. You basically swept them. I'm fake, Jake. You basically swept them, though. Look at this. They got the one map advantage. They thought they could get away with having that sneaky one map from the upper bracket, and it didn't matter because you essentially 4-0'd them. How do you feel?
Great.
Very good.
That was awesome.
Thank you, Jake.
Amazing. Never felt better.
That was so cool.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jake.
Oh, guys,
was
please
good.
get some energy, please. What?
Hey, that's fine. This is guys, we know what it's like.
Cheers to Jake. Cheers to Jake.
Yeah, shout out to Jake. He's not with us right now, but he's probably watching. So
Damn.
he's really
Kevin
always
can't
in
even
our-
tell him that he's Kevin and still actually be called his name. That's crazy. That Jake is real. Guys, you must be feeling good, obviously.
Thank you, Kevin and Jake.
Thank you, thank you.
You guys
Beat
experiment
the
a
other
little
Kevin,
bit.
but I'm here to celebrate, so we're good. This Kevin's happy. We're good.
Look, guys,
Fuck the
you
other
guys started
Kevin.
out with playing a bit of the Diva comp here in this
Whoa,
tournament,
whoa.
right? Alright, hold on.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys.
That's too much energy. Too much energy.
I didn't mean it, guys.
Yeah, stop talking over the guy, bro.
Got a question for you guys. You obviously started out, playing a little bit of the Diva here and there, right? Hardy, you sort of tried it on some control maps. You guys went to a mantra and basically stuck to it. You guys really feel like this is the meta, this is the way to play this comp right now?
I think Diva's better.
No.
I think Diva's better.
Rum is better, and sometimes I just be drunk driving as Diva, guys. I'm gonna keep it real. Rum is just easier. I can just punch people.
I mean, Diva also struggles against good backlines. Like Rem's ability to kill a backline, even if they're switched on and pocketing, is so dangerous. Whereas like
So
if a
where
Diva,
do you guys feel this meta is
flies a
going?
backline-
What
Like
did you
Juno
say?
in the
What did
mix
you
now.
say, so?
Where do you feel this meta is going? We've seen the Diva and the Juno kind of compositions. Now the later parts of these playoffs, it was pretty much all just Ram mirror matches. Where do you see this going? Do you think this is kind of where it settles?
I think if Diva gets nerfed, I think it can change a bit, because I think there is like really good like anti-Ram heroes where if you swap Diva, you just insta win. Like that's why the Diva is important, because it stops them playing like all the really annoying like
Diva
spammy
is
heroes, because Diva with
is
Juno
a
just
gatekeeper hero. Yeah, Diva
it's
Juno is just a gatekeep duo.
Yeah, but as long as Juno's untouched, which I think they confirmed there won't be in the patch, I think it'll be Juno meta, just like maybe 1 or 2 swaps.
That's fair. She's fun to watch. I hope she's fun to play as well. For now, we're going to let you guys celebrate. Congratulations on the massive dub. You got the salty run back from the lower bracket. We love to see that. Congrats on the victory, and we hope to see you guys again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Congrats.
And thanks, Jake, for joining us in our hearts and minds. He's living rent-free. That's where we're at. Speaking of rent-free, SSG must be not paying rent in ENCE's head for the next few weeks. Quite frankly, that was brutal. That was a beatdown. That's really not what we expected. You see one map on the scoreboard here for ENCE, but that's just because they came through the winners bracket with a one-map advantage. They didn't win anything.
I mean, talk about rent. I mean, ENCE got a free week of rent. And they just the next week they couldn't keep up with the paint.
They repoed the whole house. It's theirs now. that is their house. I'm sorry, they're on the title deed and everything. I don't know, man. Look, that was one of the most ridiculous series I've seen from this DPS line of SSG. I think it was absolutely unbelievable. And there were some close moments, right? But really, they came so few and far between. Sparker was just. Man, he's on another level right now. Absolutely cracked out of his mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I feel like in the first time they met in the upper bracket semifinals, or no, rather finals in the upper bracket, I feel like it also came down to the individual pop-ups. I think ENCE had the edge, not because they were the better Ram Mirror team. I felt like it was literally just like Kai and Kevster popping off. And today, it was Sparker's day.
And not only in this game, but the VP one as well, which is, you got the player of the match then. And he showed himself once again, but most importantly, I think he needed this. SSG needed this because you had a situation yesterday versus ENCE where Kai kind of clowned on them, and that was the full Kai show. And off a single map performance, essentially, he proved why he was just better in that series and why ENCE deserved to win. And as we close out this, grand final now, you had a massive gamble that came through on the final map. It was discussed by Mitch and I concerning the fact that they wanted to swap Maimone in. They felt like whatever they're doing wasn't working, but if you don't win where the venture is strong, you can't justify the pick. I even brought up the fact that not even Korea is running this anymore, where you have, the best flex DPS players in the world, and they don't even want to be playing double flex DPS for that reason, and it did not pay off. The gamble did not pay off. It was a 3-0 on this map. This is one of the most flawless types of grand final victories that you could ever hope for. Effectively, a 4-0.
Yeah. That's really what it was. So absolute beatdown. I do love to see the evolution of SSG throughout the playoffs, though. We talked about it. Now it feels so much already that it feels like we're beating a dead horse. But there was a actual evolution in terms of how they approach that meta, starting with that diva composition, then they make those switch ups, heading into the Ram mirror matches, and now they're here, and they once again look like the untouchable team, because the teams which should be able to hand it to them is VP and ENCE. And there was no shot any of them even came close today. And as we already said, a lot of that was thanks to individual performances, such as what we've seen from Sparker today. An absolute menace. What a gaming warlord on that Ashe today. I mean, he won them King's Row. That's it. That's it.
This play coming up sealed it.
It can be hard, to have such an outsized impact on the game sometimes as Ashe, especially in a really high healing meta. The consistency of these dynamites that came down, just pressuring again those healing resources. The Bob placements were excellent, and sometimes he would just take these solo fights. Being able to shut down Kevster, who has audacity playing Pharah, I think, in anywhere near Sparker's Ashe, but also beating Kai out, being able to pick, someone like Sky off as well. A lot of threat on the Juno here. It's hard to play these comps against Ashe, and sometimes it does boil down to which Ashe is just able to be more oppressive and punish those floatier heroes. Sparker was, though, just miles and miles and miles and miles ahead. Kevster's playing Tracer, he's switching up, he doesn't want to play Mei, I get it, but, I just don't think it's a meta that suited ENCE nearly as well here. And now, just as ENCE benefited from the previous meta, this breaks so well in SSG's favor.
And it wasn't even completely convincing to start with, because as we discussed, it took a little while for every team, but SSG to sort of find their groove and find what worked. We saw the Diva early on, you saw Backbone experiment with the Venture as well, but eventually, you know what? This is what we're going to lock onto. This is what we're going to play. You saw Psycho being subbed in early on as well, and that stopped, after a single match when you realized that just wasn't necessary anymore. And you're essentially in a stage now where this is the back-to-back champion. If we talk about the FACEIT season, Season 1, it was SSG over ENCE. Season 2, it's SSG over ENCE again.
So it's a grudge kind of story at this point. Yeah, they're back. They're back. Little dips somewhere in between in EWC or in OWCS, but we don't care. They're back, and they came with a vengeance, taking this one 4 to basically 0. Again, one map advantage. We don't.
If you agree, we'll call it a 4-0.
I call this a 4-0 for sure. Okay.
They won the 4 maps they played. They won the 4 maps they played.
That's right. And ENCE, yeah, that's.
I think there's like a question about like. So one thing I loved about this, my takeaway, I guess I'll just jump in here, is that like a one-man army have a lot of potential. That team really, like, I'm looking to see them as like a next up to start to really knock on that door and break in. This is also a tournament without Twisted Minds, right? Had to see what that team, you know, starts to do there. They've obviously got a great foundation. Would have been a, you know, I think a decent metagame for them as well. And obviously they got a crazy backline. So we got a good look, a good temperature take of Europe here, and if Juno's not really getting touched that much towards a mid-season patch, then
also,
this is a preview for what's to come.
Kevin, Washington Hospice, they took themselves off of life support for this tournament, but do you think you're going to see them again in maybe OWCS?
Maybe under another different name, maybe a different roster again, because I think the Ben Best support situation is a temporary, just kind of plugging the holes of the gap that FD got left in there.
Yeah, the Ben Best Brig.
That's not a permanent addition to the team, so I'm pretty sure that'll change going on. He'll probably still be on the team, just not in that position.
Yeah, well, we like what we've seen from the team, although they took themselves out of the tournament willingly. So therefore, we did not get to see them make it further, and we did not get to see more highlight-worthy reels from them. However, we got to see plenty today in both matches being played. So let's take a look at our EMEA best plays of the day. Back at it again. Just backbone things, you know.
EMEA amazing. We're still doing that, or
EMEAzing? I think we abandoned it.
This I don't like. He doesn't know. Okay, so Backbone can definitely presume that there are people worth blizzarding behind that wall. He doesn't really know. The fact that Hardy sees that sail over his head and goes, you know what, I might go over there where that blizzard's going to be. See what I can rustle up, and then just slams heads together in the back line. So sick. Obviously, the Spark moment's great. He had that one on New Junk City as well, like that 3K in these fights. Like, I talked about it coming in. Like, this is a pound for pound test of quality between these rosters. And Spacestation, like, unanimously won that vote, I think. I'm going to call it a first round knockout, honestly.
Yeah, that sparked joy. Where. Good stuff all around. And that also means that we are done with the EMEA side of things. This was our last day of the playoffs, and we did get to crown a winner. If we're looking at just the meta, since we already talked about the team takeaways, where do you guys feel the meta is going, starting with you, Mitch?
Look, I don't know if Juno's going to get a very hard look towards a mid-season patch. I think she's still going to be very powerful. So comps that really want to surround her and make use of her ultimate are going to be very important. I think there are ways to like punish this. We've already seen that. I think the Ashe can definitely do that. So we may see some tweaks at DPS. And I think, like, you know, SSG make a good point in that there is definitely a place for D.Va to come back in, especially if like there's becomes better ways of answering Ramatra, dealing with him. We've seen a lot of methods used. We've seen teams try Sombra. We've seen Widow on some maps that matter. So we are still going to see some map-specific takes, and maybe on like circuit, like you might not feel like you can play Ramatra all the way through, but in general, we are in a brawl meta right now, so strap yourselves in, fam.